with the harsh beep of monitors piercing through the mayhem of Halloween night. The hospital room becomes a haze of flashing neon lights. I'm 34-year-old Emma Carter, and I'm curled up on a gurney at Seattle's St. Luke's Hospital, where my stomach is wailing like it's going to burst. Liam, who is 3 years old, is cradling his teddy bear in the corner while staring intently at me. The video call on my phone is making me tremble, and the pain isn't helping either. "Emma, please don't ruin our Hawaiian vacation," comes my mother's harsh and icy voice. They've been in our possession for a whole year. Tears well up in my eyes. The treachery that stabs my heart is far worse than the anguish in my belly. My parents are picking a side as I struggle for survival. They are my parents after all. I can't help but inhale the strong, sterile aroma of antiseptic that permeates the entire hospital room. My body is contorted around an agony that seems like 1,000 twisted daggers in my belly as I lie in a bed at St. Luke's in Seattle on Halloween night 2025. Emma Carter here, a 34-year-old interior designer who has been struggling mightily over the past few months. My husband Michael's death in an airplane crash 8 months ago rocked my life and left me to raise our son Liam, who was 3 years old at the time. As I prepare for emergency surgery to treat severe appendicitis, the image of Liam in the corner, his little hands holding his teddy bear, his huge brown eyes observing me with a subtle terror that wrenches my heart, is the only thing that is keeping me grounded. I'm attempting to keep it together, but the agony is so intense it's blurring my eyes. I can hardly hear a thing as the nurses frantically move, around their voices barely audible. The recent call has left my phone on the nightstand still warm from the conversation. The words said by my mother reverberate within me, stinging like a new wound. "Emma, please do not ruin our Hawaiian vacation." I pleaded with Robert and Diane Carter Liam's parents to come to Seattle to babysit him, but they were in California getting ready for a Halloween celebration in Honolulu. Their tones betrayed their frustration. "It's been a year since we got these tickets," as if the fact that my life was on the line were an insignificant problem, my mother yelled at me. "Emma, you're the one who always finds a way to make a big deal out of little things. My dad was even worse. We've both retired." What a beauty we rock. I try to hold back the tears that are about to fall by closing my eyes. Their extravagant lifestyle cruises, boat dinner parties in their Palm Springs gated community is supported by the $3,000 that I've been sending them monthly, a portion of my pay for years. Their money weren't enough to support their aspirations, so they took early retirement 5 years ago, and I started helping out then. Feeling obligated as their daughter, I continued sending the money, wiring it like clockwork, even after Michael passed away, and my own finances collapsed under the weight of medical bills and burial expenses. I thought families were forever, even though they ignored my sadness and never once inquired as to how I was doing life without Michael. I reminded myself of this. Now that Liam is relying on them, and I am preparing for a potentially risky operation, they simply cannot bear to miss even one celebration. My thoughts go to Tacoma, where my sister Lauren resides, which is only an hour away. As I conveyed the problem to her, my voice quivered as I also called her. "I'm kinda busy, Emma," she said, her voice betraying her apparent distraction as she perused her phone. "This Instagram influencer's shoot for Halloween is all set. Is there no one else you can think of? The golden kid Lauren is the life of the party. She was the center of attention as a child, with all the attention focused on her modeling jobs. prom queen title, and perfect existence. My parents were so enthralled with Lauren's casting in a local commercial that they hardly noticed when I earned a college scholarship. They came once after Liam was born to gripe about how the hospital was too far and how babies were too fussy. I felt like an afterthought, the one who had to work for their affection while Lauren was showered with it. My breath catches as the agony intensifies and I clutch the bedsheets. Liam asks, "Mommy, is everything okay?" with a little quivering voice. Because I hurt so much for him, I grin artificially. Now that he has lost his dad, he must endure the icy antiseptic chamber as his mother crumbles to pieces. I must not disappoint him, not me. The physical agony isn't nearly as bad as the betrayal by my family. Why did they pick a picture shoot or a party over us? They must have thought I wouldn't make it through the night if they left Liam alone. Sarah Nguyen is displayed on the nurse's badge when she enters the room. She appears to be in her late 20s, and her kind eyes can pierce through my courageous facade. After looking over my chart, she gives Liam a sidelong glance, her face gradually warming. "I mean, come on, you're really struggling, aren't you?" She speaks with a soft tone, unlike the other staff members who seem harried. The knot in my throat is too thick for me to say, so I can only nod. Sarah slips a sticker, a cute little pumpkin, out of her pocket and kneels down next to Liam, bringing a smile to his face. "Your mom is strong," she assures him before turning to me. "And you aren't destined to face this challenge by yourself." Rachel, a nanny friend of mine, works specifically with children who have experienced the death of a parent. Her incredible. She is someone you would like me to contact. Her generosity shocks me. It's a glimmer of hope in this frigid horror. My voice is barely audible as I swallow and say, "Yes, please." It's the first time today that I've felt a glimmer of optimism, as if perhaps just possibly Liam and I aren't as isolated as I had imagined. Still, I feel the crushing weight of my parents' criticisms and Lauren's callousness, which serve as constant reminders of how unimportant I am to those who ought to love me the most. Sarah leaves the room to make the call, and I silently vow to myself that I will do whatever it takes to protect Liam and our family as I watch his little fingers trace the pumpkin sticker. To the point where I have to face the reality regarding the family I have spent my whole life attempting to appease. The walls of the hospital room are closing in on me, making the space feel even smaller, and the intense, merciless ache in my belly is beating like a live thing. I am only held steady by the gentle sound of Liam's breathing as he snuggles up with his teddy bear in the corner. In the midst of this clinical misery, his pumpkin sticker from Sarah gives forth a subtle glow beneath the dimmer lights of the hospital. My family, my very own flesh and blood, has abandoned me, and here I am 34 years old, facing the prospect of emergency surgery as my body betrays me. Robert and Diane, my parents, are likely enjoying a Halloween celebration in Hawaii, at this very now prioritizing their own drink above their daughter's battle for survival. Liam, my sister Lauren's 3-year-old nephew, is afraid and alone in this hospital room. Lauren is an hour away in Tacoma, and she's too busy taking pictures for Instagram to care. I feel a stone crushing my heart from the weight of their treachery, but I am pulled out of it by Liam's low whimper. Their large, concerned brown eyes are fixed on me, and I refuse to crumble under their scrutiny. Currently, no. At no point in the future. For a long time, I did everything my parents asked of me, including wiring them $3,000 monthly to pay for their boat-gated community and never-ending trips. Every dollar felt like a piece of my heart, after Michael's plane disaster tore my life apart, but I still did it. I believed it was devotion, family, and love. Their words from the phone, though my mom's frantic, "Don't ruin our trip." The words, "You're always making a drama," echoed in my mind from my father's icy voice, and I can still picture it. Their daughter was never me. They might have used me as an ATM. The kind nurse Sarah Nguyen returns to the room, this time carrying her phone. The words, "I reached my friend Rachel," come out of her mouth in a calm but confident tone. Kids who have experienced parental loss are her forte as a babysitter. She can accompany Liam in about 30 minutes. You'll see she's incredible. I nod, my mouth constricted from barely processing her generosity. When my own relatives refuse to help a complete stranger it's humiliating and frustrating. I don't understand why it takes a nurse, someone I've just met for an hour, to teach me about family. My mother's final message remains illuminated on my phone screen. "We deserve this trip, Emma." I open my banking app with trembling fingers, regardless of whether it meant forgoing personal expenditures, draining funds, or pushing my freelancing income to its limits. I have faithfully contributed that $3,000 every month, no more. With my pulse racing, I go to the options for automated transfers. Money isn't the only factor here. It's about making a choice to be with Liam, a choice to be with myself, and a choice to quit being the dependent daughter. I anxiously clicked cancel as the confirmation window appeared. That's it. But I have more to say. Before I have a chance to second-guess myself, I start typing a fresh message to my parents. That's it. We are no longer a burden on you, Liam and I. With a tense chest and a mixture of anxiety and liberation, I send it and block their numbers. With Lauren's carefree "I'm busy" still hurting, I do the same. As if I had just severed a shackle that had burdened me for all my life. The phone weighs heavily in my hand. Sarah observes me with soft, perceptive eyes. "Are you all right?" Her question prompts a nervous nod from me. I look across at Liam and mumble, "I will be." Now he's sound sleeping. His teddy bear nestled beneath his chin, completely unaware of the tempest brewing within of me. I will go into surgery with the knowledge that Liam is secure, since Rachel will be here shortly. My sense of agency has returned after a long absence. I no longer feel helpless in the face of my family's expectations. Just for Liam, I'm deciding on a course of action, and I've had enough of life for others who fail to recognize my value regardless of the outcome in the operating room. The thin mattress on the creaking hospital bed does little to calm the raging fire in my belly. Although the agony from my appendicitis is relentless, it is the anguish in my heart that causes me to lie awake at night, gazing at the tiles of my ceiling. With his teddy bear tightly gripped and the pumpkin sticker Sarah gave him glimmering softly in the dark, Liam's gentle snores float from the corner. My parents, Robert and Diane, passed up a Halloween celebration in Hawaii in favor of spending time with their daughter and grandson. Now I'm 34 years old, Emma Carter, and I can't stop thinking about how I ended up here, not only in this hospital, but at this very moment as I await a potentially disastrous operation. Rather than assisting Liam, my sister Lauren, who lives an hour away, in Tacoma, opted to do an Instagram shoot. My parents' $3,000 monthly payments were abruptly terminated when I texted them, "We're done." The decision's weight is weighing me down, but my mind is reeling with memories I've attempted to push to the back of my mind. I can still picture myself in Seattle, Washington, 5 years ago, seated at my kitchen table with Michael, whose kind smile illuminates the entire room. Their finances were too little to afford the lavish lifestyle they had always dreamed of: yachts, gated communities, and never-ending vacations. So my parents had recently announced their early retirement. I thought it would be a short-term gesture of affection to offer to assist set up the $3,000 monthly remittances. "They will rely on you indefinitely if you allow them," Michael said, but I disregarded his warning. I assured him that no matter how painful it is, family remains united. "We'll start a family of our own, Emma," he would whisper as he drew me near and nodded. With Liam's little hands intertwined around ours and his laughter echoing through the house, we accomplished just that: found a person who understands how to love. Michael was tragically killed in an airplane crash 8 months ago, and since then, nothing has been able to replace him. With my income from freelance interior design, I was drowning in debts, bereavement, and parenting. Liam by myself, even if it meant sacrificing my personal necessities and taking shortcuts, I continued sending the money. "We need it for the yacht payment, sweetie," Diane said in her sugary phone call, so I increased it to $3,500 for a few months. "We are entitled to savor retirement," I caved, because I needed their blessings so badly, and because I hoped they would see me for more than just a salary. It was never done. After I informed them of Michael's passing, Diane expressed her condolences and asked if the money might be sent earlier in the month. Robert didn't even pick up the phone to arrange for our cruise. "Apologies, sister," Lauren texted. "I was always invisible. Now I had to go to a shoot." It was the same when I was a kid. Even when I would earn scholarships and had perfect grades, my parents would only notice Lauren, her modeling jobs, her prom queen title. Lauren got a commercial, so they missed my college graduation ceremony. I lived my life trying to win their affection, believing that if I offered them enough time, money, effort, they would eventually pick me. However, Diane wrinkled her nose and said, "Babies are so loud." This was during their one visit after Liam was born. Their voices on the phone tonight said, "You're creating a drama, Emma," and yanked the veil aside. Their daughter wasn't me. I served just as a buffer between them and danger. The epiphany is so sudden, it's shocking. Rather of focusing on myself or Liam, I've been living for them. I begged for a love they would never provide with every dime I sent and every plea I disregarded. But Liam, he has become my motivation. What really counts are his drowsy grin and his faith in me. It will enough. If they give me their blessing, I suffice. Despite my ongoing worry, I feel a newfound strength as the nurses get me ready for surgery. I make a silent commitment to live for the family that Michael and I established, not for the one that abandoned me. As the nurses transport my bed to the operation room, I am accompanied by a haze of white walls and fluorescent lights that seems to go on forever along the hospital corridor. Every movement of the gurney intensifies the searing anguish in my abdomen. Emma Carter, here 34 years old, and the magnitude of this moment: acute appendicitis emergency surgery. The possibility that I may not awaken feels like a crushing weight. Recalling the scene in the hospital room, I can't help but see Liam's terrified face. He was just 3 years old, and he held his teddy bear tightly. The pumpkin sticker Sarah Nguyen had given him glimmering faintly on its fur. Already 8 months ago, his father, Michael, died in an airplane tragedy. Can he really let me go as well? I clutch the bedsheet, tightly struggling to maintain a steady breathing pattern as the sharpness of the idea surpasses the physical agony. Rachel, the babysitter Sarah hired, is currently looking after Liam. Her soft voice and kind smile immediately put him at ease when we met an hour ago. Her kind but persistent words calm him as she kneels at his side and tells him a tale about a courageous bear who defends the forest. With Liam's timid nod and his little hand in hers, she reassured him, "Your mommy's the bravest bear of all." This put my mind at ease. Even though Rachel is an unknown, she has shown up when my parents, Robert and Diane, are in Hawaii, enjoying Mai Tais and obliviously attending a Halloween party. Rather of helping out her nephew, my sister Lauren, who lives an hour away in Tacoma, is obsessed with Instagram likes. I texted them, "We're done," and cut them off, canceling their $3,000 monthly lifeline. The freedom of that decision is fighting against the fear of this moment. Outside the operation room, the nurses examine my paperwork in hushed tones. With her kind gaze fixed on me, Sarah Nguyen slides in next to me. She reassures me, "You're gonna be okay, Emma," as she squeezes my hand. Rachel will take excellent care of Liam. If you are a single parent who has also experienced loss, I know of a Zoom support group that you could find helpful. When you're done, I'll put you in touch. I'm not as alone as I think I am, and her comments have been an anchor. Whispering to myself, I have to make it. I nod my throat too tight to speak. I want to be more than just a daughter pleading for love for Liam, because he is my reason, my everything. Cold and definitive, the doors to the surgery room loom. My stomach turns at the thought of the procedure failing. In the event that I abandon Liam, his world will be devastated once more. As I reflect on Michael's words from a bygone era, I can't help but hear them. We'll build a family that loves without strings. I have let the pain of my parents' rejection to consume me for far too long, pouring money into their love that they would never return. No more. I'm sick of living my life to please Robert and Diane. For Liam, for the future we're creating together, and for the resilience I never knew I possessed, I am living. With the anesthesiologist's mask in hand, I close my eyes and imagine Liam's happy face and the sound of his laughter as I tickle him. As a promise to my kid and to myself, I murmur, "I'm coming back to you," as the world around me dims a tiny but ferocious fire within me, pushes back against the terror. The operation was successful, but I woke up feeling weaker than I had anticipated, with a heavy body and 10 days of rehabilitation ahead of me. A fresh beginning awaits me when Sarah checks in. Rachel remains with Liam, and that Zoom group is waiting. I'm still standing, I'm still battling, and I've finally realized that I am sufficient. Once again, the hospital room is devoid of sound. The commotion of Halloween night has faded into the background noise of computers and faraway footfalls. Emma Carter, here 34 years old, propped up on her bed at Seattle's St. Luke's Hospital, suffering from the aches and pains brought on by the life-saving surgery that also left her as delicate as a broken glass waiting to break. The appendicitis has healed, but the wounds, both internal and external, are still raw. In the corner, Liam is fast asleep, his teddy bear nestled beneath his arm. Sarah Nguyen's pumpkin sticker remains slightly illuminated on its fur. Sitting close by, humming gently to soothe him, is Rachel the nanny who intervened when no one else would. I am still frail 10 days after my recuperation. Every breath is a reminder of how near I was to not surviving. However, I am not kept awake by the ache. I can feel the impending storm and the stillness of my phone. Just before my operation, I stopped sending my parents, Robert and Diane, $3,000 each month. "I am finished," I texted them. I disconnected all communication with Liam, my sister Lauren, and myself since we are no longer a burden. For a long time, I foolishly believed that by investing my earnings from freelance design into their yacht and their Palm Springs parties, I might win their affection. The callers' voices nevertheless cried out, "You're creating a drama, Emma," and "Our vacation to Hawaii is worth it," showed that I was only their bank. I felt liberated when I severed ties with them, but I was also aware that they wouldn't go gently. Now the deluge arrives as I scan my phone, unblocking everyone to see whether they have any messages. Robert and Diane sent 30 SMS and 12 missed calls. "Emma, why did you cancel the transfer?" is the first desperate question my mom asks in her texts. That funding is crucial. Then they become poisonous and abrasive. "You're so selfish. In its absence, we are engulfed. His words are more like fists, and my father's are worse. You're going to pull this after all we've done. You're such a spoiled brat." Their wrath comes as no surprise yet. It hits me square in the stomach as I fixate on the television, my chest constricted. Nobody checks in with me to see how my operation went or whether Liam is doing okay. The $3,000 they had planned to use on boat payments and vacations is the only thing that matters. They are quite upset about my way of life, and here I was in the operating room battling for my life. "Hey, you okay?" is Lauren's muddled tone in her lone message. Regarding the finances, Mom and Dad are going ballistic. What's happening? The typical Lauren, ever one step behind, engrossed in her life. As a Tacoma influencer to see reality. As she chased likes, she had no idea that her nephew needed her or that I nearly died. I seldom respond, not me. Their every remark is like a burden I can't bear. My trembling hands lowered the phone as I turned to face Liam. In his sound slumber, I am reminded of the reason I made this decision. He is my rock. I'm no longer an ATM for them. I am his mother. Rachel looks over her eyes, soft yet piercing. "Family can be rough," she remarks with an air of familiarity. "You're doing the right thing focusing on him." Her words soothe me, the compassion of a stranger surpassing the affection I have for my own blood. With a friendly smile on her face, Sarah Nguyen swings over to review my chart. "You seem to be getting stronger," she remarks before lowering her voice. "Remember that Zoom group I brought up? Upon your departure, they will be prepared to greet you. Emma, you have support." I nod in agreement, feeling a glimmer of optimism at the prospect of a community, complete strangers, who may be more concerned than my parents. Robert and Diane's angry messages, however, reverberate indefinitely. They disregard me as an individual, a mother and a daughter. Just when they thought they were getting a paycheck, I cut it off. I realize this isn't the end. It's just in their nature to be more forceful and demanding. At least for the time being, though, I'm going to mute myself by turning off my phone. I say, "We're gonna be okay." Liam stirs, mumbling in his sleep, and I've decided to choose him and us, and I'm not going to let their wrath stop me. There is a constant pounding outside my apartment window as the rain pounds against the pane, echoing the dull aching in my side. Emma Carter, 34, here still hobbling along after 2 weeks of surgery at St. Luke's. My body serves as a constant reminder of how near I was to not surviving with each stride. My appendix has healed, but the scar on my stomach remains a painful reminder of my journey to survive. The sound of Liam's giggles reverberates through the living room as he and Rachel, our steadfast nanny, since that fateful Halloween night, construct a tower. As we settle into our new routine, his teddy bear lays on the couch, its fur adorned with Sarah Nguyen's pumpkin sticker. I wish I could give my whole attention to him and our relationship, but the decision I made before surgery to terminate the $3,000 monthly transfers to my parents Robert and Diane by texting them "we're done" looms over me like a dark cloud. Their deluge of texts, calls, and charges of selfishness have gone unanswered. As usual, my sister Lauren in Tacoma sent a single nebulous SMS. It was foolish of me to believe that preventing them would bring them to heal. My stomach twists, not because of the scar, but because of instinct, as I am startled by a sudden forceful tap at the door. With a gasp, I make my way to the peephole. That's who it is. Robert and Diane, strutting down the corridor in their expensive outerwear, seemed out of place in my dilapidated apartment complex. With a worried expression on her face, Diane is holding a leather folder. As if he were prepared for battle, Robert has his arms crossed and his jaw clenched. Still holding the doorknob, I pause. I could act as if I were nowhere. However, I can't help but break open the door, driven either by curiosity or perhaps rebellion. Diane exclaims, "Emma, thank God," in a voice that sounds artificially sweet, almost like she's practicing for a performance. As for "we've been so worried," I just don't buy it. Her gaze darts beyond me as she surveys the flat, perhaps evaluating the pre-owned furnishings. Robert enters the room, his stature obstructing the entrance. He adds, "We need to talk," in a really cold and businesslike manner. Saying now, I keep the door partially closed and use my body as a barrier to prevent them from entering. "Just tell me," I inquire, my voice more composed than I actually am. In spite of her waning grin, Diane opens the folder and retrieves a spreadsheet with bolded figures. "Emma, we're in a jam," she exclaims, her voice getting all serious. "The payments were halted by you. The Palm Springs condo and yacht loans total you $180,000. Robert interjects with a glare, saying, "You need to sell this place, get a loan, something. You have to help us. We brought you up." "You owe us," I say. To my parents, who never once called to see whether Liam and I were well after surgery. They betrayed me that night, prioritized a Hawaiian Halloween party above their grandchild, and are now here pleading with me to save them. "You didn't raise me," I whisper, my voice quivering from an untamed rage. "While I fought for my life in the hospital, you went out and partied. You abandoned Liam, a little boy of 3 years old. Now you want to come to my house?" Diane clutches the pearls, which are indeed pearls, and gasps as they glisten on her coat. Her voice trails off as she cries out, "That's not fair." I can see the tears in her eyes. These are only for show, not regret. Robert tries to push his way in by pushing the door, but I refuse to budge. "We're your parents," he says forcefully. "The choice to walk away is not yours." I turn around to see Liam, whose tower is swaying from laughing with Rachel. I find solace and power in him. In response to Robert's intense stare, I respond, "I already did. It was the night that you decided." The air trembles as their disbelief becomes apparent. I'm going to make mine. They were taken aback by Emma's unexpected refusal. However, they no longer use me as a pawn. As Liam's mother, I've had enough of pleading for their affection. The tempest that is raging in my claustrophobic corridor is mirrored by the continuous sound of the rain outside my Seattle apartment. My name is Emma Carter, and I'm 34 years old. I'm standing firmly at my partially open door, protecting my life from my parents, Robert and Diane. My scar still aches 2 weeks after surgery, a constant reminder of the appendicitis that almost killed me. What hurts more, though, is their presence. They want me to sell my house so they can keep their Palm Springs apartment and yacht. From the living room where our nanny Rachel keeps Liam occupied, we can hear his chuckles as he plays with his block tower and his teddy bear, which features a pumpkin sticker by Sarah Nguyen. I recently informed my parents that they left Liam and me that Halloween night to attend a party in Hawaii instead, and their shock is palpable. Her palm, which was exquisitely manicured, flies to her chest as Diane's face contorts. "Emma, don't you dare!" As her voice breaks into her signature dramatic scream, she lets out a gasp. "You may call us family. You must not treat us with such contempt." I can feel her tears as soon as they fall. They are crocodile tears designed to shame rather than soothe. "You're being ridiculous," Robert screams, pointing to the spreadsheet. In Diane's hand, his wide shoulders squared, as if he were about to bulldoze me. "We're talking about a debt of $180,000. We owe you, Emma. Growing up, we made sure you had everything you needed. Is that all?" Years of pent-up rage finally explode out in my trembling but keen voice as I strike back. "Excuses, you made them up. You were enjoying cocktails in Hawaii while I was in surgery fighting for my life. Even without making a phone call to check on us, your grandson Liam was scared to death." As the words flow out, my hands firmly grasp the doorframe, keeping me stable. "I drained my funds by sending you $3,000 monthly, and you couldn't even skip a single event to provide us a hand." Diane flashes an eye as her sobs dry up like a tap. "It's unfair." As she approaches, her perfume is overpowering and pungent, and she sobs. "Emma, we had plans. We had no idea. It was that critical. Every time I see you, you find a way to get dramatic." I sense the old Emma, the one who would apologize and give in quiver for an instant. Her words like a smack, resonating with that call from Halloween night. However, I realize I am no longer that Emma as I turn around to see Liam's structure crumbling while he giggles, completely unaware of the conflict. "Is there drama, danger?" I warn, my voice low. "It was my death sentence, Diane. The same fate that befell Michael also befell Liam's mother. Does that really not matter to you?" Robert's cheeks flush as he scowls. "Keep your husband out of this," he says with an exasperated tone. "Your lack of gratitude has never changed. We gave our lives so that you wouldn't have to, and now you're being disrespectful." I go closer, my gaze fixed on his, and the hypocrisy engulfs me. "Is it sacrificed for many years, Robert? I have served as your bank. I sacrificed my safety and tranquility for you. You prioritized a political party before your own family when I needed you the most. My debt to you is zero." As the rain outside grows louder, the corridor falls into a dead silence. Diane's writing falls flat when she opens and shuts her mouth. Robert remains silent despite clenching his jaw. They have run out of moves for the first time. Saying, "I'm Liam's mom," I calm my voice and speak with an incisive edge. "My role is to safeguard him, not to serve as your pawn." Their cries for help are drowned out by the sound of the door slamming shut as I order them to go. Liam shouts, "Mommy, look!" His smile shone through the agony as I turned to view his shaky tower. Despite the pain in my side, I go down on one knee and mutter, "It's perfect, buddy. Hey, we may still be fighting, but right now with Liam at my side and our small world to enjoy, it's all worth it." Outside my Seattle apartment, the rain has subsided to a mist, but within the air is thick with the reverberation of the door. I just banged on my parents' Robert and Diane's heads as my heart raced from the struggle. I, Emma Carter, 34, collapse onto the couch, my surgical scar stinging. Just 2 weeks ago, I pulled through appendicitis at St. Luke's. Now it feels like a whole new type of survival. To stand up to my parents who wanted me to sell my house to pay off their $180,000 boat and condo debt. Our nanny Rachel encourages Liam as his block tower wobbles and chuckles echo through the room. He keeps his teddy bear close by, decorated with Sarah Nguyen's pumpkin sticker, as a subtle memento of the night my parents rejected us for a party in Hawaii. As my adrenaline wears off, I prepare for what's to follow after telling them they deserted their grandson Liam and me, their daughter. A deluge of alerts lights up my phone's screen as it buzzes. After the operation, I unlocked Robert and Diane's phones, anticipating their wrath. But this is out of the ordinary. This is an email that Robert wrote to all of our relatives, including Lauren in Tacoma, and all of our cousins and aunts and uncles. The subject line reads, "Emma's betrayal." When I open the email, my stomach drops. Emma has severed all ties with us, leaving us penniless despite everything we have done for her, it says. We brought her up, gave her our everything, and now she rejects us. There was utter silence regarding my operation, Liam's solitary confinement in the hospital, and their decision to celebrate as I battled for my life. It hurts worse than I thought it would, since it's a performance that casts me as the bad guy and them as the good guys. Gesturing tremblingly, I fix my gaze on the screen. I still feel the same want to explain, to make things right, to play the role of the nice daughter, even if they are rewriting history and removing their selfishness. As Liam claps and laughs, his tower falls, and I am snapped back to reality. I've grown out of that role. I had emergency surgery 2 weeks ago. I type steadily as I start a message addressed to the entire family. It was possible for me to die due to their upcoming Halloween celebration in Hawaii. Robert and Diane declined to keep an eye on Liam. I pushed submit, my heart racing, knowing this would alter the course of events in order to safeguard my kid and myself. My phone starts working again in a matter of minutes. A note from my sister Lauren, who has been very quiet recently, with only a single cryptic message. "Oh my God, Emma," she writes. "Nothing major. They said you had a stomach ache. It happened so fast, I had no clue. To get Liam, I would have come." Her comments ring true, but I'm wary since Lauren has always been their ideal child, oblivious to their shortcomings. Their defenses are starting to crumble, though, because of her apologies. Still not ready to trust, thus no reaction from me. Subsequently, the relatives reply. "Is this true?" My cousin Mark texts me. "According to them, you were okay. Emma, they said you were just being dramatic." Aunt Linda says over the phone, her voice quivering, "Why were we in the dark?" Their disbelief transforms into support as I speak in an emotional but composed manner. Mark's wife offers to bring supper, and Linda says she'll see how it goes. I don't feel completely alone, since it's not the entire family. Some of them remain silent because they are devoted to Robert and Diane. The words, "it's not about them," reverberate in my mind when I consider the forgiveness course Sarah described. Perhaps I will go not to appease my parents, but to release this burden. It is about liberation. I put the phone down for the time being and sit down on the floor with Liam. Construct an additional skyscraper, whatever. His smile gives me all the information I need when I ask. Despite its intended impact, Robert and Diane's communication has had the opposite effect on me. Now that the truth is out, I am stronger than ever before, supported by Liam and beginning to build a family that we have chosen, not one that we have been coerced into. A tiny 3-bedroom house in a peaceful neighborhood, lit up by the spring light as it peeks through the drapes of my new home in Seattle. Liam's laughing fills the garden. I'm Emma Carter, and I'm 34 years old. It's been 3 months since the risky operation at St. Luke's, and the scar is now just a thin line, a symbol of my survival. Although I no longer have appendicitis, the conflict I had with my parents, Robert and Diane, is still fresh in my mind. I confronted their deceit in that family-wide email, severed their $3,000 monthly support, and refused to sell my previous flat when they insisted on keeping their Palm Springs condo and boat. As I begin to organize the contents of my new home, I am constructing a life where my partner Liam and I are the center of attention rather than merely a house. This was a really bold step. The memories of Michael's death in that plane disaster 8 months ago lingered too long in my old, overcrowded flat. The proceeds from its sale allowed me to purchase this property, whose mortgage is less than my previous rent, a true miracle in the Seattle real estate market. Liam considers the backyard, with its uneven grass and rusty swing set, to be his domain. With his teddy bear, which still has the pumpkin sticker that Sarah Nguyen gave him on Halloween placed on the porch, he is currently outside chasing a butterfly. Our babysitter Rachel only checks in on a part-time basis, but I'm doing better every day as my strength slowly comes back. After everything that happened, I decided to cut back on my freelance interior design business, since meeting client deadlines was too exhausting. In its place, I've embarked on a new venture, creating memorial gardens for bereaved families. A digital ode to Michael's love and laughter, I created a website for him first. Word got out when one of Sarah's Zoom support group friends saw it and requested one for her sister who had passed away. Now I'm taking on clients, and with each job comes a new opportunity to heal and create something beautiful out of my sadness. I am able to pay my expenses and put some money down on my surgical medical debt, thanks to this little but increasing income. Now, after Michael's death, I feel not just the need to survive, but also a sense of purpose. My sister Lauren is suddenly someone else entirely. She was shaken by the email I sent, which revealed that Robert and Diane had prioritized a Hawaii party over Liam and me. On weekends, she travels all the way from Tacoma to play with Liam and bring takeout. While sitting on my new couch on Sunday, she confessed, "I was clueless, Emma, her influencer polish long since off. You were always portrayed as the antagonist. I try to be more careful, since being her shadow for so long doesn't go away suddenly." However, as she pushes Liam on the swing and he grins uncontrollably, I see a sister I could come to trust. She has her flaws, but at least she's here. Living in this place is like starting over. When I unpack, I see Michael's old flannel shirt, the one he used to wear when we used to dance around the kitchen. As I hold it close, I inhale his subtle aroma and musters up a teary grin. I softly murmur, "We're doing it," as if he were paying attention, running in with a dandelion in his hand. Liam is happy despite being grass-stained. "Solely for you, Mommy." His words fill me with joy, and I discreetly put it behind my ear. The stillness of Robert and Diane, ever since I locked the door behind them, has softened the blow of their departure. I've decided to stop trying to win their love. For Liam and for myself, in this little abode where we are sufficient, I am constructing my. Michael always said we'd build a home here and now. When I hear Lauren and Liam laughing together on the backyard swing, I know it must be true. Outside my new house in Seattle, I can hear the summer buzzing of the bees and the squeals of Liam as he runs after a soccer ball in the backyard. I am Emma Carter, a 34-year-old woman whose heart was set free 4 months ago after surgery that left a scar across her stomach. A 3-bedroom house, a mortgage that is lighter than the $3,000 I used to give my parents, Robert and Diane, makes the appendicitis seem like a faraway agony in comparison to the life I'm making here. As I drink coffee on the porch with Liam's teddy bear and Sarah Nguyen's pumpkin sticker propped nearby, I'm surrounded by something new, not just a home, but a community that feels more like family than my parents ever did. I severed ties with them after they picked a Halloween party in Hawaii. Instead of me and Liam forced me to sell my old apartment so they could keep their yacht and Palm Springs condo, and lied to our family about saying I was betrayed them. The single parent support group that Sarah runs on Zoom has been an absolute godsend for me. A month ago, I became a member, and I remember my first meeting being nervous because I was so distraught about Michael's aircraft disaster and my parents' rejection. Everyone in the group, complete strangers who had been there, nodded and listened intently. Last week, I had coffee with one of the members, Karen, who is a widow and has a 6-year-old son. She was essential in my search for a preschool for Liam that could accommodate my freelancing income thanks to its sliding rate. "You're not alone," she assured me, her gaze unwavering, and I took her word for it. The people who live next to us have also become an integral part of our life. Their children are now Liam's playmates, and the Wilsons across the street even sent lasagna when we moved here. His laughter warmed me more than the sun itself yesterday, when their daughter wove dandelions into Liam's hair. Now that Lauren's influencer glow is fading, she makes regular trips from Tacoma, bringing board games and apologies with her. As she pushed Liam on the swing last weekend, she confessed, "I got into their tail. I imagined you were shooing them away. Emma, I'm sorry. I'm still wary because of the wounds she sustained as their golden child, but I see a sister I might love again when she reads Liam bedtime stories in her kind voice. She has made an effort which is better than anything Robert and Diane could muster. But my folks are coming undone. Their aspirations were sucked dry by the $180,000 debt that Lauren told me they incurred when their Palm Springs condo was foreclosed. Their one-bedroom rental is a world away from their gated neighborhood, and Robert mutters something about taking a hit as they sell the yacht at a loss. Robert's dignity has taken a beating, and he is now working part-time at a hardware shop. Lauren suggested family therapy for Diane, and she's having a hard time facing herself. Lauren whispered, "They still blame you, but they're starting to see they messed up." I nodded, but I didn't feel anything, neither anger nor sympathy. Decisions they make, the results they get. I've had enough of bearing their burden. Like the one I created for Michael, my memorial design company is flourishing, and each piece is a beautiful monument to someone's love. Rebuilding the money I depleted for my parents and paying expenses are part of it. Now Liam hurries over to me, bearing a soccer ball and a broad smile on his face. Say no to that, Mom. Even if my scar is pulling at my heart, I do as he says. Karen texts about a play date the Wilsons give each other waves, and Lauren says she'll be visiting tomorrow. My world is flourishing because there are individuals who turn up and see us, whereas Robert and Diane's world is falling apart. One bright day at a time, I am living out Michael's goal of a loving family. As Liam hurries through the falling leaves in my garden, his laughter serves as a calming lullaby, and the air is crisp with the colors of the Seattle autumn. My name is Emma Carter, and I'm 34 years old. It's been 5 months since the operation that scarred my stomach but set me free spiritually. In this 3-bedroom house, where Liam's swing set creaks and his teddy bear sits on the porch, still wearing Sarah Nguyen's pumpkin sticker from that Halloween night. The appendicitis is a faint memory overshadowed by the life I've made here. After Robert and Diane slandered me to our family, choose a Hawaii party above Liam and me, and demanded that I pay off their $180,000 apartment and boat debt, I severed ties with them. I am no longer only surviving, I am thriving, enveloped by a group that has become my family and a purpose that is mending me as I watch Liam chase a leaf. With each job in my memorial design firm, I am able to pay tribute to the departed while also fortifying myself. Still, a more substantial development has emerged. Beacon of Hope is a foundation that helps single parents through medical emergencies. Sarah's generosity and Rachel's concern for Liam were my inspirations. That night at St. Luke's, I sorely needed our free childcare and financial counseling services. At a community facility in Seattle last month, we had our first fundraiser. Neighbors Karen from my Zoom support group and Rachel all helped out. Sarah appeared, her scrubs replaced with jeans, and distributed brochures. The local daily featured Beacon of Hope in an article describing us as a light in the dark. I spoke at the event with a quivering voice saying, "I was alone once, but strangers saved me." We were able to raise $5,000, which enabled us to assist 3 families. I could feel Michael's presence, his hope for a happy family, coming true as Liam cheered, confused but pleased. We're repairing a bridge thanks to Lauren's weekly trips from Tacoma. She's now considered part of that family. She's been at the home all day, laughing softly as she and Liam rake leaves. She looked me in the eyes and said, "You're doing something amazing, Emma," before shedding her influencer guise. I remain wary because of the scars she bore from her time spent as my parents' favorite, but I'm beginning to believe her. However, things are different when it comes to Robert and Diane. After selling their yacht and condo, Loren believes their lives have shrunk. Diane is confronted with realities during therapy sessions, while Robert is humbled by his employment at the hardware store. Lauren claims that things are changing, but I'm still not trusting quite yet. No, not just yet. This is the perfect opportunity to attend Sarah's forgiveness program. While a regular attendee, I've been sitting with a group of total strangers while we've shared our suffering. Forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you to let go of the hurt, the facilitator remarked last week, and I began writing down my feelings of wrath, anxiety, and hope in a diary. Although I haven't been there yet, I did tell Lauren that next week, under supervision, she may take Liam to visit Robert and Diane for 1 hour at a park. I said with conviction that they had no right to harm him. Or me. It's not entirely forgiving, but it's a start, a method to ease the tension in my chest without compromising my limits. With a grinning face and a leaf in his grasp, Liam dashes over to me. "Solely for you, Mommy." I put it in my pocket with a happy heart. He adds, "Tomorrow Karen will be bringing her kid to the next event at Beacon of Hope, and Rachel will be baking cookies. My life is now centered around love, not duty." Robert and Diane's decisions don't define me. What defines me are myself, Liam's happiness, and the community we're creating. I think that's everything. My modest house is enveloped in a gentle gray mist as the Seattle winter approaches. The backyard is peaceful with the exception of the rare raindrop that gently taps Liam's swing set. Standing here in my kitchen a year after the operation that left a deep scar across my heart and a scar across my stomach. I am Emma Carter, a 34-year-old woman. I feel like I've lived a lifetime away from the appendicitis that almost killed me at St. Luke's. Even though he's 4 years old today, Liam is still clutching to his teddy bear from that Halloween night. When my life changed as he colors a picture of a bear with a pumpkin sticker, the sticker belonged to Sarah Nguyen. After my parents, Robert and Diane, prioritized a Hawaii party, above Liam and me, tried to cast me as the villain in our family, and insisted that I preserve their $180,000 boat and condo debt. I severed ties with them. Caring for Rachel, being compassionate to Sarah, seeing Lauren's salvation, and being a part of a group that grew like family, all gave me strength. I am no longer only surviving, I am whole as I prepare a mug of hot chocolate for Liam. At a little cafe down the street, I'll be meeting Robert and Diane today. On neutral ground without any preconceptions. This will be our first encounter since I rejected their requests a year ago. Emma, they're different, Lauren said over coffee last week. They are being cracked open by therapy. They want to know Liam and make things right. I'm not buying it. After all, their self-centeredness spans decades. Nevertheless, I'm in this for myself, not them. I'm interested, but I've matured enough to no longer require their blessing. Are they able to grow? Would it matter to me? As I enter the cafe, Liam is safely at home with Lauren and the bell jingles. Diane and Robert, who appear older and smaller, sit at a corner table. Since suffering a minor heart attack last month, Robert has lost his typical swagger, and his broad shoulders have slumped. Without the heavy makeup that adorned Diane's face like armor, she wears nothing but a plain sweatshirt. I sit with my hands on my lap as they stand awkwardly. Robert quavers and rasps as he clears his throat. When he adds, "Emma, I've been a terrible father," I go into shock. His eyes brim up with tears, true tears, not the stage magic of Diane. "You weren't a daughter to me, you were a resource." "I'm embarrassed," Diane says as she reaches out her fingers, quivering but not touching me. She speaks in a gentle, cracked voice, saying, "Thanks to Lauren, we've been in therapy." "Emma, I was envious of you, your power, your autonomy. I turned you down because I couldn't compete," she says before sliding a handwritten note over the table. She says, "I'll read it later." She then leaves. Everything I am unable to express is in it. Not yet. I haven't even touched the letter. Their absence that night when Liam needed them when I could have died still aches, and I'm not ready to forgive. However, I converse relating tales about Liam, including his enthusiasm for soccer, his recent preschool enrollment, and his off-key singing. There are no interruptions or requests, they just listen. This is novel and disturbing. Once again, Robert's voice cracks as we near the end. "Eventually, would you like to meet Liam? Is it enough to only meet man?" I look for signs of manipulation from the past, but all I see is optimism, and it's raw and vulnerable. "That depends," I state with a solemn tone. "Behavior, not words, determine your worth. They say short visits supervised, and you respect me as his mother." I sense a change, not trust, but possibility, as they nod, and there are no disputes. As I made my way home, I leaned beneath a street lamp to read Diane's letter. "I let you down," it starts, "not because you weren't sufficient, but because I was inadequate. It's my fault that I ignored Liam's light and prioritized myself above you. It's not flawless, but it's honest, and that's more than what I ever achieved. But I'm getting better." I put it away, feeling a weight lifted off my shoulders, not because I've forgiven them, but because I no longer have to deal with their consequences. I am greeted at the door by Liam, who presents me with his crayon masterpiece. "Solely for you, Mommy." His radiant smile lights up my world, and I find solace in his embrace. My sister Lauren is baking cookies in the kitchen. She is always there, and I've come to adore her. Every monument I create, like the one I made for Michael, is a beautiful homage to love and grief. And my career as a memorial designer is booming. My NGO Beacon of Hope is also expanding. Next month, we will have our second fundraiser to continue providing services to single parents, such as counseling and child care. Sarah stops by with tales from St. Luke's Rachel, offers her services as a volunteer, and Karen, a member of the Zoom group, arranges for play dates. The Wilsons, who live next door, invite Liam to their annual Christmas celebration. The foundation of my family is love, not duty. We were all chosen, not coerced. Reflecting on Sarah's forgiveness program, I remember the facilitator saying, "Forgiveness is your freedom, not their absolution." I may not have reached that point yet, but I'm getting closer, not for Robert and Diane, but for myself, Liam, and the serenity that we all deserve. I've grown into a strong-willed mother who loves fiercely, and a confident lady who no longer has to seek validation from others. Michael's dream lives on in us, and I can't help but grin as Liam's laughter echoes through the house and Lauren's voice joins in. The lessons I've learned from life's challenges are like tools for the future. First, establishing limits isn't narcissistic. It's a survival mechanism for keeping your emotional health intact in an overly demanding society. No to poisonous relationships is a powerful statement in America, the land of independence. Next, when all else fails, seek out the strangers who show up, neighbors, support groups, and friends who notice you. That's your group. Thirdly, forgiving someone is a decision, not a requirement. You should take your time with it, since it is for you and no one else. Finally, remember that even the darkest hours may provide light to another person's path. My surgery and loss were the catalysts for Beacon of Hope. An inspiring tale like yours may light a fire in a community that values volunteerism. Liam is chasing after a leaf in the yard as I go outdoors, feeling the cool drizzle on my cheeks. We are joined by Lauren, who puts her arm around my shoulder. Either Robert and Diane will become important to us, or they will not. Whatever they decide, it will not define me. Hi, I'm Emma, Liam's mom. I'm a house builder and a hope builder, and I live in an unconditional love environment. This is an excess of what is required.